Hi, lovely ladies. Welcome back. Thank you for clicking on my video. My name is Lenny, and today we're speaking about you get to choose whoever you want to be. And that this video was inspired in two different stories that I lived during this week. I know you guys haven't seen a lot of me, and that is because I don't just want to entertain you. I want to give you something of value, and I'm creating something. I don't know if I should say this, but I'm going to say it. I want to give you something starting on November 1st, which is right around the corner. And that is, yeah, today's the 29th. And that is why I am working my ASS off to put this out, like to birth this and provide you with a consistent course type guide. And this is going to be for women who are going through toxic relationships, women who feel that they didn't get the good end of the deal. They did all the right things, but ended up at this toxic spot, and this is not what they applied for. So that's what I'm working on, and that is why I haven't seen a lot of me. Going back to the topic of today's topic, what happened to me was, first off, one person told me, she was talking to me on the phone, and she was telling me about a situation that she's going through. This usually happens with my friends. They want me to counsel them. And I know that this person, because she's really close to me, I know she has observed me going through this different, like navigating this puzzles of situations and circumstances. So I know where she was going, but I knew that she already had the answer. But I let her explain the situation anyway. So she was telling me, oh, this person is doing something that I don't like, but and she explained the whole situation. I was like, okay, patiently waiting. And then she says, I don't know what to do. I was like, yeah, that's a complicated situation. I was, because I don't want to give unsolicited advice. I was waiting for it. I was waiting for the punchline. So she goes, uh, like, what would you have me do? Like, what could I do? I have no idea. And because I know that I have been on the same situation, and I know that she has been aware of how I go through it, I said, you've seen me. You've seen me go through this. You've seen what I do in those circumstances. And she goes, yeah, but I don't want to be that girl. So basically, she knows what to do. She knows what to say. She knows that this circumstance is very inconvenient for her and that she's not contributing to this other person's well-being by permitting them, by letting them do what they're doing, because they're actually overstepping a boundary. And this is something that's affecting her and her family. But because she doesn't want to be seen in that light, she's not changing. Like, she's not going to stay. She's not going to stop it. And the other circumstance was a friend of mine at work, and he goes, oh, so I didn't know that you could actually change that after 30. I was like, what? He was like, yeah, I thought brains got, what did he say? Like, he thought that we were stuck with the same brain for the rest of our lives. And I just looked at him. I was like, I didn't know that people believe that nowadays. Like, literally, I did not know. And this is so shocking to me, especially because I'm reading this book about Train Your Brain. It's called Train Your Brain by Martha Romo, Romo. If you want to look it up, it's an excellent, excellent book. I'm reading it in Spanish, and I just looked at him and I'm like, yeah, you got to read the book, man. Like, I can't even start explaining to you. Brains change all the time. We change all the time. You don't have the same cells you were born with. You know that. So why would you say that you're stuck with the same brain? Unless you want to be stuck with the same brain. I don't know. Imagine that. You stuck with the same brain of a 5-year-old. That's literally impossible. I mean, unless you have some sort of very weird condition. But whether it is that you think you have this physical impediment of developing a new cycle, a new way of being, of changing, or you're binded by the morals or the cultural beliefs that you've been brainwashed to live by. I'm sorry that I'm being so outspoken today, but I just gotta speak about this. I just gotta say something. You can change. And that is the underlying message of this video. And if you were, I don't know, sometimes people just make up excuses and they're like, oh, I have this problem. And they're telling you, and you know, in the back of your mind, you're like, yeah, you just want me to fix it for you. No, ain't nobody gonna come and rescue you. No one. And if people come and rescue you, they're just doing you a disfavor because you're not developing the skills to put up with the situation in the future, and it will come back to you, and back to you in the AWS, and you know that. So change, do it for yourself. And I understand that it's scary because, first off, we don't want to attract so much negative attention onto ourselves. Be the bad girl, be the bad guy. And when we step out of our moral code or our cultural belief or whatever it is that we have, our family norms, that is exactly what happens. You get a lot of attention. And if you're not ready, that can be detrimental. I understand that. But hey, I don't think you're gonna die from that. That's my honest belief. And let me tell you, I've been through some pretty nasty situations and I have not died. I'm here. You can do it too. I'm pretty sure of it. I'm gonna give you I'm gonna give you a certain detail about myself. I don't know if you knew, but by the time I was 18, I had moved probably 19 times. Thank you, Mishka. About 19 times already. And I'm not talking about moving from one street to the next. Yes, we hear you. That's Mishka, everybody. Greet her and meet her. I know. That's my sister's pet. I'm babysitting. And these weren't small changes. These got well. One time we moved from Santo Domingo, which is the capital of the Dominican Republic, to Rio San Juan, to like the countryside, the other end of the Dominican Republic. And one time we moved outside the country too. Yeah. We changed languages and everything. And each time I would end up at a different school, of course, because I was a child. And I noticed that every time I moved, the environment, the culture, the school had its own, schools have their own culture, and I needed to become someone different at this new school. So since I was a little child, I have known that you can be whomever that you want. I know that because I've been there, because I've done it, because I lived it, not because I wanted to, but because that's what happened. That's where I was. But I'm really impressed that people don't know this. You can change, of course you can. And like I said on my previous video, you could be at one moment like whining about and saying, oh, I don't know what to do, and be the damsel in distress, and then the next moment be a bitch or be a boss babe or be whatever you want. Whatever you think is suitable in the situation, be that. Because honestly, no one cares. I mean, people are going to talk about you, they're going to criticize you, but are they paying your bills? Are they looking out for you? Some people are going to honestly do it like hands on their hearts. They're going to be like, don't do it, child. And you might take their advice or bear it in mind and, consider the odds. But honestly, in Spanish, they say you were born by yourself and you're going to die by yourself. You better believe it because it's true. It's true. And some people say, well, when in Rome, do like the Romans do. Yes, do as the Romans do, as long as the Romans aren't killing people, for example. They're not um, doing something that goes against your own very personal human values, or it's not hurting yourself. Um, I had this pattern, and this is just another example. I noticed that I had this pattern of overspeaking. It's the good girl syndrome. I don't know if it has happened to you or you've ever seen someone like that. So every time I was in a normal, like out setting, a setting where we were sharing, and there was silence, I felt that it was my responsibility to come up and entertain people or just to cover the silence. I thought that it wasn't appropriate for there to be silence. So I would start speaking. And honestly, there came a point where I was like, this is so distasteful. I do not want to be that woman anymore. I don't want to be that girl. And what I started doing was being more quiet because I noticed if you're in a social setting and everybody is doing whatever they do and you're doing whatever you do, then there is no space for change. There isn't a lot of wiggle room. But if you are the observer instead of yourself, I don't know if you're getting it, but if you're acting like yourself, then there is no room for change. There is no room for improvement. But if you're observing everybody and you're observing yourself, then there is room for improvement. Then you can choose who you want to be. Well, who do I want to be? Do I want to be the person sitting in the corner? Do I want to be here or do I want to be in the middle of the room getting everybody's attention? I don't know. Whatever you want to do, do that. But choose intentionally. And something else that I like to do is if I'm going somewhere, I like to think, who do I want to be in this place? And who is going to be there? And what's going to be expected of me? And not only that, but who do I want to be in front of those expectations? Because I don't always want to live up to other people's standards. I want to be myself. I want to have my own standards and I want to be proud of who I am at all times. So, yes, that is costly. And you may think, well, that's very Machiavellical, like that is very much scripted. Child, script if you have to. Practice if you have to. Yes, rehearse in front of the mirror if you have to. Because honestly, when you don't and you're just on automatic pilot, you are a mummy. Like you're how do you call those pets that you put your hand in and yeah, it's a mummy, right? No, no. Don't let yourself be used. And there is absolutely no excuse for you to keep being the same person you were yesterday, last year, last week, last month. You can choose whom you want to be according to whatever is most profitable to you. And especially, come on, everything changes around you. Why can't you change? The world is changing. You're changing, like your physics are changing. So, yeah, you want to be an old looking baby. I don't know. You get to decide that. You get to choose that for yourself. And sometimes, like in this case, the story that I started out with, where this other person was overstepping the boundaries, and this it's a lose-lose situation. You have someone who isn't respecting you, and maybe it is unknowingly, maybe they need training, maybe, I don't know. But it isn't doing you any favors either that you're letting them overstep or infringe your boundaries each and every time. And if you have children, if you have a spouse, if you have other people, and they're sucking up your time and energy, then this isn't only affecting you, this is affecting everybody. So I think this problem is a very basic, unaware person's problem because other like if you're on a certain level of conscience, if you're at that point where you're like, I have my boundaries, I can't be listening to your thing outside of certain container, like no, I'm not gonna do it. then that person is not going to overstep your boundaries because your boundaries are firm because you put your foot down. But if you're below that consciousness, then you're like, oh, well, I don't want to make them feel bad, and I don't know. I don't want to be seen as a bitch or or I don't know. Maybe you can talk to them. Well, nobody is winning in that situation. In that setting, there is nothing of gain. So don't do it for the other person either. You know, like if you want to do an act of goodwill, then yes, go ahead and teach them. But what I'm saying is limits, boundaries are there for a specific purpose. And the purpose is to keep you aligned, to keep you with all your energy going in one direction so that you become more effective. And you know, if you're not willing to do the things you need to do for yourself and for your family, then yeah, there are going to be consequences. I just needed to say that if you need to change, and I know that sometimes when we decide that I'm going to be like I decided that I was not going to fill in those awkward spaces of silence. And what started happening was people started looking at me and going, oh, Lenny, this is not you. Of course, this is me, sucker. You just didn't know. So don't let people put you back into that whatever mode. No, no, they're just using you. Plus, sometimes, and this is something that happened to me specifically with this situation because the silence was awkward. And the norm or what was usual was for me to speak. That in this situation, my brain would start going, this is uncomfortable. It's so much easier to just do what we do. That was my brain. So this was an internal dialogue while everybody else was just sitting there, maybe staring at me. On top of that, I needed to, you know, deal with my brain judging me. And my brain would go, yeah, this is really hard. We're uncomfortable. We don't know what to do with this. And I would just go, yeah, this is us. This is how we're behaving now. And that's it. Shut up, brain. And just ignore it. Because honestly, I think that's called imposter syndrome or something. Everything is a syndrome nowadays. Everything has like a name and a title and a label and diagnosis, whatever. But if you want to change, you're going to have pressure from the outside and pressure from the inside for you to be exactly the same sucker you were yesterday or to keep being the, what do you call that? Doormat. Yeah. A lot of people are going to love you for being a doormat, for being the clown, for being the person that everybody gets to laugh at and do the jokes on and criticize, you know, because they do criticize you behind your back. So basically, I'm just like trying to tell you, you can do it. I'm not trying to encourage you to do it though, because I know all the consequences that this may bring, and I am not responsible for the consequences you may get if you change. I'm saying the truth. Like, really, it's a difficult thing. Changing is really hard, especially conscious up leveling changing. It's hard. It's energy taking, energy consuming. But if you are determined to change, woman, do it. If this is what you have considered, you have decided that is the best thing for you to do it. I support you all the way. And if you need any tips, if you ever need any tips, come back to me and write it under this comment and just tell me, Lenny, this happened, this situation went on, and I don't know what to do with myself. I've been through some really icky situations, and yes, I'll do my best and try to respond to you. But the underlying message of this video is you can change. You get to choose who you want to be. You get to be whomever you decide to be. Don't let anybody else tell you differently. And don't let your brain drive you crazy either. Just shut off all that dialogue and be who you want to be. You can do it. I believe in you. If you resonate with my message, you like this video, you like the message, you like what you're seeing, send this to a friend of yours who would also like to see this. I know there's a lot of people who need to hear this message now. So go ahead and share it. And of course, as usual, thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.